Welcome to Ready to Mosh, a podcast all about rock, metal and alternative music. I'm Kev P.
And I'm Gem G. Each episode will bring you the latest news, talk about new releases, and review gigs and festivals that we've been to. There'll be a smattering of guest interviews and a lot of random chat.
As well as the podcast, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Just search at Ready to Moshcast. Hello and welcome to Ready to Mosh, episode 30. We're back again.
Yeah, you're looking at me like you want me to say something.
Yeah, why not?
30,
what are you there for?
30 Rock, whatever.
Yeah, so anyway, we're back again. The usual one this week, there's quite a big thing for the main this week.
There is. We were initially going to do something about being 30 and then it seemed far too long ago to want to think about. So we thought we'd come back round to the big news of the week, the download lineup.
Yeah, so we'll get to that later. But yeah, first, it's the news.
The news. Bit of a slow news week apart from the download announcement, really, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing's really happened
really
at all.
Stood out. Couple of bits I've got are the Lamb of God have postponed their UK and EU tour with Creator, which was supposed to be in December. I feel like that's already been rescheduled once to December. Might be wrong on that, but it's now going to take place in February and March, and that is due to unforeseen circumstances.
Okay.
Make of that what you will.
Could be anything.
It could. Bit of news just in from Skindred as well. They are releasing a new album called Smile next summer. Couldn't find an exact date for it, but it will be their 25th anniversary and their 8th studio album and their first one on Earache Records, who they signed to last year, I think. They've just released the first single, Give Me That Boom. Not had a chance to listen to it yet, have you?
No, I've not. There's a video for it as well.
Yes, I saw that. But yeah, I've just been listening to stuff for this episode, really, so I'm going to give that a listen tomorrow.
Okay. Just one piece from me. There's there's a festival happening in Vegas called Sick New World, and it's looking quite a decent lineup. So some of the bands that are there are My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, who are really good. The Melvins are there as well, and I mean, a lot of people might not be familiar with them, but they were Kurt Cobain's favourite band.
Yes, they were.
Lacuna Coil, Filter, Fever 333 were doing the rounds. There is Hoobastank, Seven Dust, POD, Soulfly. It's quite a new metal festival.
Yeah, I was going to say it's been bandied about as a new metal festival, but then when you actually look, they've got people like Cradle of Filth, Killing Joke, Ministry, none of whom I'd class as new metal. It's more,
Ministry's industrial.
It's kind of new metal stroke industrial, really. Like 69 Eyes, I don't think of them as new metal.
No, but then Alien Ant for On, Hoobastank.
But then Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of overridingly new metal, but then sprinkles of other stuff. It looks good anyway.
It does look really good. I mean, Placebo, Vilvelo, Mr. Bungle. I'd love to see Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, but then you've got like Papa Roach, Evanescence. Headliners are... it's one headliner. But then I think it's one headliner, but then there's three big bands below them. So the kind of sub-headliners are Korn, Deftones and Incubus.
Yeah, I'm almost imagining it'd be a bit like when we were young, in that it's got different stages as well, so I'm not quite sure how that will be.
And the main headline is System.
Which is possibly... The other week we said they'd got an announcement about an announcement, so I'm assuming that was it.
That was the announcement.
We were kind of worried they'd be on the download lineup.
Yeah. I mean, overall, the festival was really, really good.
Yeah, definitely worth a trip to Vegas if you're financially inclined.
Yeah.
I would say, because it ain't just the tickets, it's the price of everything when you're there. But, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really good lineup.
It is. And did you mention Cold Chamber?
Oh, no. Some of the bands that have been added to the bill, one of which is Cold Chamber recently, who have recently reformed.
Yeah, that's quite exciting, isn't it?
It is, so hopefully they'll do the rounds.
Yeah. And I think that's about it for the news, isn't it?
That's the news.
Right, on to reviews then. We've got an album each this week, and I've also got a single to tag on to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So my album I've been listening to this week is The Pretty Reckless Other Worlds.
Yeah.
Didn't realise when I first said, I'll review Pretty Reckless, they've got something new out, that it was a compilation album. Yeah. Because, they had the new album last year, didn't they? So I thought, a bit odd that they got another one out, but these things happen. But yeah, it's a compilation. So some of it is versions of songs from the last album, and some of it is new cover versions.
Yeah.
So I'll just go over a few of the songs that I thought I'd mention.
Can I just ask about those tracks? Are they, when you say the different versions, are they composed differently? Are they sang differently?
They're mainly acoustic versions. So it's quite a chilled album, actually. Yeah.
Oh, right. Different.
So track 1, Got So High, that is a song off Death by Rock and Roll, and that's a remix. And there's actually 2 versions of this song on the album. Track 1, and then the original version is track 11, which I really don't know why it's on there, because the rest are different versions of songs.
Well, that one's on twice, and one of them's the original.
Yeah, so track 11 is the original Got So High, and then track 1 is a remix. It's almost a bit like, not a dance remix, more like a chilled remix, if you know what I mean. It's got some kind of slow synths. It's quite whimsical in the background going on, quite dreamy sounding. It's quite nice.
All right.
And then track 2, I believe, is a new track, so I couldn't see it anywhere else in the back catalogue. That is Loud Love. That's quite a heavy one, but slow, so quite similar to their style on other albums as well. That's a good one. In terms of other ones that are acoustic versions of Death by Rock and Roll songs, you've got an acoustic version of 25, but that's piano acoustic, if you know what I mean. It's a piano version.
Right, okay.
Vocals and piano, that's it. That is really good. It's got some really strong vocals coming through on that, whereas the original is quite theatrical. It reminds me a bit of a Bond theme, the original one of that. So it's nice to hear that in a different version. Death by Rock and Roll, which was the big single off the last album, the title track. That's a really good, strong acoustic version of that. That's probably the highlight of the album, I would think. There's also Harley Darling. The original to that's quite acoustic anyway, a bit countrified, so it's stripped back to just guitars on this version. And Only Love Can Save Me Now as well. That's, again, just an acoustic version taken off for the last album. Other songs, there's a song called The Keeper, which is a cover of the Chris Cornell track.
Oh,
and that features Alan Johannes. Quite similar to the original in terms of tempo and all of that. Again, it's quite whimsical sounding with the acoustics as well.
Yeah.
But it's a good version of it. And there's also a Bowie cover, which is Quicksand. That's one off Hunky Dory. Again, that's a similar tempo, but a stronger sound on it. It's got some pianos coming through it. So not entirely different as a cover or anything, but another good one. And then the other one is an Elvis Costello cover, which is what's so funny about Peace, Love and Understanding.
Yeah.
The original of that is actually quite fast, quite upbeat, and this is quite a slowed down acoustic version again.
Yeah, that's to cover an Elvis Costello one. That's a really strange choice, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, on the whole, if you wanted to listen to a Pretty Reckless album, it wouldn't be your go-to. But if you're a fan of the Pretty Reckless, of Taylor's vocals, or you just want to listen to something that's kind of light, easygoing in a way, something acousticy to have on in the background, it's a good one.
Okay, all right.
I'm not quite sure what the point of the album is, I guess.
No, I think for me, the only kind of different versions of albums that I've ever been interested in is kind of like was it Fixed and Broken?
Yeah. That
Nine Inch Nails did?
They were quite reworked, weren't they?
They were totally reworked, yeah. They were all kinds of crazy. So I don't know if that's something I'd listen to or not.
Yeah. I'd say it's worth just giving a listen to.
Yeah.
See what you think of some of them, especially the ones that aren't reworked songs, that they are just new to Pretty Reckless songs, as in the covers.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. But
okay. All right. Well, I've been listening to the latest Froglord album.
As mentioned as a recommendation by us
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah, so it's the new album by Froglord. It's a follow-up to The Mystic Toad.
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed listening to before. And yeah, it's a great follow-up to that. Kind of like we've spoken about Froglord quite a bit, so if you kind of like into sludge, groove, almost like a doom metal kind of sound, then it's perfect for you. This kind of feels quite influenced by Sabbath, and there are some really good tracks on there. Dystopia, which is the opener, is really good. Army of Frogs, which is the title track, and The Crystal Pyramid. Yeah, so if you kind of like dirty bass licks, bit of distortion, and like a Sabbath sound, these are the ones for you. And we've seen Froglord live, and they're good fun to watch live. Really, really great vocals, great guitar work, and it kind of carries on in this album.
Lots of amphibian references still.
There are some amphibian references, yes. So if you like amphibians and you like sludge groove, doom metal, go listen to Army of Frogs.
Yep. Right, finishing up with a single then. This is the new single from Creeper, Ghost Brigade. They released this they had a live show at the Camden Roundhouse last Friday, I think it was, 4th of November.
Yeah.
and they played the live premiere there and then released it straight after. I wasn't aware that it was coming up as a single. So almost like a surprise one, but I could have missed it. Yeah, it's really good. They've just signed onto a new label fairly recently, I think, Spine Farm Records. So it's kind of like a new era for them in terms of a new label.
Yeah.
In terms of sound, I think it's going a bit back to their punkier stuff that they started with. So it's quite fast to start with. Sense quite a bit of almost emo vibes going through it. It was in of My Chemical Romance in there.
Ooh.
I knew you wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really good. I've listened to it a few times today.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's any sign of a new album anytime soon. I've not noticed, but that's something to look forward to. And interesting that they are changing the sound again, because the last EP they had, American Noir, that was quite almost kind of grand, almost operatic, theatrical rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice to hear a bit more of the old school Creeper going on.
What's the other band that Will's in?
Salem.
Are they on the same label?
No, actually.
I was just wondering if there was a connection between the two and whether
Yeah.
they'd switch labels as well.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's just a random aside there.
Yeah. The artwork for it is really cool as well.
All
kind
right.
of spooky. There's a skull and a moon and some bats going on. I think it made quite a cool tattoo, that. So, yeah, that's something else I've been listening to. So if you're a fan of Creeper or not, go and give that a listen and you may become a fan of Creeper. On to Rock the Week then, when we look back on this week in rock and metal history. So 14th to the 20th of November coming up, and then I've got two historical related item bits at the end that aren't related to this week specifically, but they are rock history.
Right.
So let me have a quick look through. We'll just go in the order that I wrote them down because I don't have any particular order this week. Two from the 15th of November. 1992, Ozzy, who seems to feature a lot in Rock the Week.
Yeah.
As notorious as he is, he announced he was retiring from touring. I'm saying retiring in inverted commas.
Yeah.
And his quote for that was, "Who wants to be touring at 46?
Oh.
Bearing in mind this was 30 years ago.
I was going to say he's like 76 now.
Yeah. And this was after they played the final date of the No More Tours tour at the Pacific Amphitheatre in California. Interestingly, that show was opened by Sabbath with Rob Halford on vocals, because Ronnie didn't want anything to do with it at that point.
All right.
My other one from the 15th is featuring Deftones and Limp Bizkit.
Oh, was this the... No, it wasn't. Okay, go on.
Don't know, maybe it was. In the year 2000, Deftones and Limp Bizkit both cancelled shows in Canada due to throat issues. So completely different places, but they both had throat issues on the same day. So Deftones were due to play in Ottawa and Limp Bizkit in Vancouver. So that was a bit of a random coincidence.
Yeah.
17th of November. This is just a random album release one. 1998, Offspring released Americana, album number 4 for them. And finally, on the 18th of November 1993, that was when Nirvana recorded their MTV Unplugged in New York.
Yeah, that nearly got pulled as well, didn't it?
Yes.
Because they were going to play Rape Me.
Yeah.
And they started the first, well, they were told not to, and played like the first 2 or 3 chords and then went into Lithium, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was all done in one take, no stopping, starting, editing, just as it was, went out. And then my add-on is, because, as we said at the start, originally we were going to do something around being 30.
Yeah.
And all of that. So I actually looked up what the number 1 rock and metal albums were in the UK charts when we were 30. So I just thought I'd add it in for a bit of extra.
Oh, God.
So on your 30th birthday, it was My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade.
Fucking horrible, emo, whiny bullshit.
In your opinion. And there's a firework. Mine was Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Random.
There you go. Just a little add-on because I took the time to look it up. I thought I might as well use it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So when we were 30, that's what happened.
So, yeah, I've got one this week, another album, and it was in 2001, and it was Hybrid Theory, which spent a total of 18 weeks that year at number 1, and it was the third of its 4th runs at number 1.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Did 6 weeks, and I wonder if you know this. Do you know how they got the album name Hybrid Theory?
I might do, but I can't remember right now.
It was the name of the original. It was the name of the band originally.
Oh, okay.
And then that became that. And it's the only album that Dave the bassist was not on.
Dave the bassist.
Dave the bassist. I think it's Dave Farrell.
Yeah.
Yeah, was not on it. It was top 10 in 16 countries. sold 27 million copies worldwide, which is...
Is that just in that year or to date?
That is going to be... I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
Good
I didn't mean to
question.
put you on the spot.
No.
I just didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that is today.
Because I've got no concept of how many you would sell in a year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's got to be to date, 27 million copies.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And it's the best-selling debut album since... Any ideas?
Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, Appetite for Destruction.
It's a complete random guess.
Yeah, best-selling debut album since Appetite for Destruction, which was 87. And yeah, had huge singles on there. One Step Closer, Crawling, Paper Cut, In the End. We've spoken about this album before, I think, and it's just not... There's not a track you'd change on it or want to skip.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about any people who I know who are into that kind of music, everyone had a copy of Hybrid Theory.
Yeah.
From the start as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the album.
Might go and listen to it now.
Right, main bit now. We're going to cover off a little bit more about the Download Festival announcement from last week.
Yeah, we did our initial reaction to the lineup, but since then a few days have passed, the dust has settled a little bit on that, so we've got some further thoughts on the bands that we'll come to a bit later on, and then other issues that have come up since, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a few problems.
And other things we've noticed, new things. So I think the main thing I've noticed over the last few days has been people having issues buying RIP tickets in particular.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily been a problem with general tickets, but I mean, it wasn't paying a lot of attention to when tickets went on sale because we already got ours.
Yeah.
But I think there was an initial pre-sale after the announcement for certain packages or camper vans. And then there was going to be a general one. I think people were supposed to sign up for a mailing list to get a link to get their pre-sales. And from what I saw, people either weren't getting the link.
Yeah.
Or they were getting onto the link, but everything was saying sold out, or they were having problems accessing the link.
Yeah, one of the things I did see is people having the same issue that we had when we first got ours on Early Bird, which was that you could only buy one at a time.
Yeah, and that was when we got home this year.
It was this year on the Monday.
I forget what year it is.
Yeah.
And we spotted that, didn't we? And a few other people were saying the same at that point back in June. And then Ticketmaster seemed to rectify it, so you could buy more than one, but we'd already got ours separately.
Yeah.
Or you'd bought two separate ones, so they got two fees. And then they, like I say, they seemed to fix it then, but this time they don't seem to have done that. So
what would they? They're getting twice. Exactly. They're getting twice the fees, aren't they, for every two tickets?
A lot of the RIP packages, you buy the package, so you buy a bell tent for 4 people, and you just pay for that one thing for 4 people, don't you?
Yeah.
The main issue this has affected has been the Park Farm and Sleepy Hollow camping, where you buy the ticket per person.
Yeah.
And it's particularly been a problem, I think, for people who are buying it in groups. So say you normally go with 4 other people. You've gone on and had to buy 5 individual tickets, but you've only been able to get 3, and then 2 people in your group are not getting the tickets. That's been a big issue. Yeah. I think. Whether anything's going to be done about it, I don't know, because at the moment, as we speak, it just says RIP sold out now. All options, pretty much.
Yeah, every option sold out. I had a look earlier today, and I was just curious as to whether anything would still be available, and it's all gone.
I mean, whether it has actually sold out or whether they're just holding off now until...
General sale.
The next announcement, because they've gone on general sale on Thursday, didn't they?
Yeah, but, I mean, they normally... There's always a last batch, isn't there?
Yeah, with each announcement. I mean, I did see a tweet earlier today to say it was the fastest ever selling download, allegedly.
Yeah, I saw that as well. And I think I read somewhere that 2012 sold out, but it hasn't sold out since.
No, and that was the last time Metallica played, obviously.
Yeah, and I think the last day ticket sell out was Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, that did sell out, didn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's been a bit of a debacle, I think, from what I could see in
Good
comments.
old Ticketmaster.
Say no more. Pricing, if you want to just mention that, has increased somewhat.
It has increased. I don't know what the normal packages, what the normal tickets were and what they've gone up to.
I think I saw the one they're at now, non-early bird. I think the 345 plus fee.
Oof. Standard camping.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
But then again, you have got your 4 days.
You've got 4
music.
days, yeah.
Still,
85
don't know
quid
if it's
a day.
4 days full, but yeah, it's still. What do you think? You'd pay £100 to see Metallica?
Yeah, you would. I suppose you would now, yeah. I did see somebody had put the price of Sleepy Hollow now being at $653.
I saw that. I've seen $675 as well somewhere, but that might be with the fees added on.
That could be, yeah.
So pretty much £100 increase on what we paid early bird wise.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, that's gone up. And it makes me wonder what they're going to do next year. So we've got 4 days this year. But generally, the general rule of thumb is that the end price is the early bird price the following year.
Yeah.
Give or take. But we're getting 4 days this year. So does that mean they're going to put the prices at around $5.80 next year? $5.70, $5.80 straight off the bat for 3 days?
As expected, I guess tickets increase as they do.
I mean, obviously there's, the inflation rates through the roof, going through the roof at the moment. It's interesting that everything's selling out. And with the cost of living increases. So I thought that was really interesting.
They do have Klarna as a payment option now, which I don't think they have done previously. I think that is new.
Yeah.
I think they might have done it for this year, but in terms of like new release tickets for next year, I think it might be new. So that might be a route people are going down.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's a very good point.
And they do the payment instalments anyway, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, the instalment scheme's been going a while.
Yeah, and that's always helpful for people to use anyway if they want to get the tickets early off.
Yeah. So something else we've seen, there are extra RIP packages this year.
Yeah, when you actually look down the RIP options, there are actually a lot of different variations of tent, shed, box that you can stay in aside from the camping that we do. And yeah, there were a couple on there I'd not noticed before. They might have been there this year and I just didn't see them. But I couldn't actually see the detail of them because they were sold out, so you couldn't actually go into them.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying as well because you almost want to see what some of these packages include. And then for next year, you might want to go, I'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, the two that I saw, these are both Metal Meadow. One was a Super Chief.
Yes, I saw the Super Chief, yeah.
What is a Super Chief? And the other one I spotted was a Classic Safari.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I'm like, is that what? Is it like a safari hut? Do you stay in a jeep? Do you get animals?
Yeah, it's all a little strange.
So I'm going to keep an eye on the website just in case something happens and you can see the detail if they get released again. Just purely out of curiosity.
Yeah, it sounds like they've probably upgraded all of the tenting accommodation and renamed it.
But then they've still got the things like the Bedouin ones and all of those, which sound nice in theory, but they look tiny. Yurts and the rock boxes and rock
the bell
blocks.
Tents, rock blocks, I think they're called.
And deluxe bell tents. And yeah, it's just another variation of a fancy tent probably, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks that way.
The other new one I spotted, which is definitely new, is the Rock Retreat Melbourne Hall.
Yes, that is a new one.
So from what I can see of this, because this hasn't sold out, although it wasn't listed under RIP, it was just under general ticket, but it sounds like the Sleepy Hollow Park Farm, whereby you park next to your tent, but it is a shuttle bus away from site at Melbourne Hall, which I looked up and it's about a 10-minute drive.
It is, but that's not something I could do.
Not after our experience at Download Pilot, getting on the shuttle bus round to the arena. I think it will drop you in the RIP kind of courtyard area where you can get the shuttle bus from hotels, so that won't be a problem.
No,
but it's just the thought of not being able to walk to your tent.
Yeah, it's not even that for me. It's the hanging around for the shuttle bus. Because they won't go until there's enough people to warrant it going.
Which, again, we found out, didn't we?
Yeah. So you could be sat there for 20, 30 minutes and you're, either side, and you're missing lots of times when you could be watching bands.
I mean, I guess if you're of the way that you just camp yourself up in the arena for the day, you take your chair and whatever supplies you can take.
You take in,
might be
that's fine.
And it's about £100 cheap. I think it's $555 for that option. You still get all your things like your showers, your hair dryers.
I wonder if they have to travel back to, on the shuttle again to the actual drop-off points, or whether they're at the place where they're staying.
I assume it's where they're staying, because it's the opposite direction to where the hotels are, if you mean that.
No. So where we are, where our showers are and toilets are, and the same on Park Farm. So they're all there. What I'm saying is, do the people at Melbourne Hall have to come?
Oh, no, they're all on site.
Right, okay.
It sounded like everything's on site, so it's pretty much the same
setup, yeah.
Yeah, that's just reminded me, actually, of another issue I noticed on the whole ticket debacle thing. You know how you get the District 1 add-ons for Park Farm?
Yeah.
Some people were able to buy their Park Farm, the District 1 add-on, but they couldn't get their actual Park Farm ticket. So they've paid the extra bit. I don't know how it worked or how they were able to do that, but I saw a couple of people saying, I've got a District 1 ticket, so I can hook my electric up, but I've not actually got a Park Farm ticket to actually go.
Surely you'd make sure you got your Park Farm ticket first.
I'm not quite sure how it worked out, whether they took out the basket and they didn't realise, or I don't know. Or I don't think you could buy them both at the same time or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I just saw some people saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing we have spotted is the lounge. The
Yeah.
something lounge. Has it got a name? Was it just a lounge?
It is
Lounge
called,
area.
well, it's just called the Retreat Lounge
That's it, retreat lounge anyway.
Upgrade.
Yeah. To me, this sounds like where people not in RIP could buy the guest area hot tickets, I think they were.
Yeah, I think that's what they were called before. Something
So
like that.
you can access the guest area even if you're not in RIP. I think it sounds like that, but people won't be able to get the hot tickets into the guest area this year. They'll have that as a separate area.
Yeah.
Whether this has stemmed from feedback from people saying the guest area is getting too busy now,
Yeah.
and that's one way of appeasing that complaint people have had, I don't know.
Well, it kind of makes sense. It's like you can't advertise the guest area being of a benefit to certain types of campers if anybody can just use it if they've got a ticket for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pricey. It's £45 a day, which is pretty much what the
Wow.
hot ticket was to get into the
Yeah.
guest area. And to be honest, it's not
It's
that
not.
great.
It's
in
not
there.
worth that. No.
Yeah, the toilets are nice, but you still get the bar with the same old drinks in it. It's not like
No, there's no.
Bloodstock and you get
No.
loads of different drinks to choose from. There is seating, but you have to be lucky to get one.
It's
to
very
sit on.
limited,
It's
yeah.
limited.
And it all depends on the weather as well.
Yeah. And you may or may not spot someone in a band being interviewed in the press area at the bottom,
Yeah.
potentially. But apparently it's going to be near the main arena entrance, so up at the top of the hill somewhere
Yeah.
along that.
And to be honest, if you're not in RIP, that's a better option for you
Because you're going to come past there
because
anyway,
you're going to
aren't
go
you?
past that bit.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's on a raised platform, so you could potentially watch bands from the second stage.
Possibly. It did say, I'm sure I read something about like views or something
Yeah.
on it.
You'll probably get views of the main stage and second
Yeah.
stage. What you can hear, I don't know.
And I think the other thing it's got is, I think it has got some hair dryers and straighteners in there.
Yeah.
So if you're in standard camping, you could go and potentially use those, as well as having a bar and some separate food areas and seating and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because anybody can get that as well. So even if you're RIP, you can actually
Yeah.
just go and pay for it. But if you're RIP, you just use the guest area
Yeah.
anyway.
The one thing I've not noticed, actually, I just thought, can you remember there was talk of it this year and I don't think it happened. There was
I know
that
what you're going to
separate
say.
raised platform area that you could pay for.
Yeah.
Which was like the accessibility platform, but for anyone who wanted to pay extra to be on a raised bit.
Oh, I thought they were doing like a circle.
It was kind of like that,
It was
but
called
it was
like
raised.
circle, but
I can't remember what it was called.
you were
now.
closer to the stage. I
Yeah,
think.
but it was raised.
Oh, right, okay.
That was the whole point of it, was raised so you could see it, not actually like a circle like you get at
Yeah.
a stadium.
I just don't think that's logistically feasible.
No. And it didn't come off this year, did it? I think it was
No.
something they brought in for 2020 and then it seemed to vanish.
Fizzle out, yeah.
There's been some pre-order merch that you can do, which appears to just be souvenir download 20.
Yeah, basically they're getting rid of the old stock, aren't they?
Looks like some like they've had some spare tie-dye t-shirts and hoodies plonked the logo for next year on. And then,
Yeah.
But it seems to be sold out, allegedly, on the website.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with that, if you've got loyalty vouchers, you generally, that's the kind of stuff you'd get anyway.
And it's very, like I say, generic. I don't think it's got any line-up stuff on yet.
No. So, I mean, that wouldn't
Don't
really appeal to
think.
me, that.
But that was just something else we spotted, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back to the bands then, I guess.
Yeah, move back into the bands.
I guess we've covered a lot of what we thought about the lineup anyway, didn't we, on Monday? So I don't think we need to say loads more, particularly about the headliners. We've kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
we're of the same opinion that Metallica don't really need 2 slots.
No, even after a few days thinking about it. I don't know anyone personally who said it's a good thing. I know there will be massive Metallica
Oh,
fans
yeah.
out there who are loving it, and that is great.
And obviously we realise, it's not our festival, it's
No.
everybody's festival.
And it's all personal choice and stuff.
But it does seem like they could have put somebody else there.
That's the thing that bothers me. It's just like someone else could have done it easily. Either Parkway or Ghost. They're headlining other festivals
Yeah,
this year, so why not?
exactly. And the only other thing is, is it too soon to have Slipknot back? I know you said it's kind of like 4 years,
And they've got a new album.
but it just feels like it was really recent.
It does. It does feel a bit soon.
Yeah. So we'll leave it at that for the headliners.
Yeah.
Some of the other bigger bands that have been listed. Evanescence, have they done anything new?
I can't comment. As I mentioned on the other...
Yeah, I only know them
thing
for
we
one
did.
album.
Yeah.
So, they may be relevant
I
still.
think they've done some other stuff other than the big album they had.
Yeah.
But like I said before, I didn't realise they were kind of reformed.
No, I didn't know.
We're doing things again.
The Placebo one is still a strange choice to me.
Yeah. It's not a complaint because we like
I know, we
them.
love
Yeah.
Placebo, but it just doesn't seem like a placebo place.
I know what you mean.
Without sounding like a gatekeeper,
Yeah.
but it just, I see them as more of a
yeah.
Reading and Leeds kind of band.
I think they are. Or even Glastonbury.
Or
They've been
Glastonbury,
there,
yeah.
haven't they? So there's always a few curveballs in there, isn't there?
Yeah. I will say, all of the other bigger bands that they've listed, All really good choices.
Yeah, even Pendulum is something different, isn't it?
It is something
That'll
different,
be
yeah.
interesting to see if I'm around when they're on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Pendulum fan, but it's, it's good to have a little bit of diversity there.
Yeah, I imagined it to be similar as to when Chase and Status played in 2012.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I think the same.
They were there.
Yeah.
And dancing to them kept me warm because it was freezing.
Yeah, and from the smaller bands, I think there's a really good selection there. And some bands that I'm hoping to see next year, because bands like Sown, who I missed at Bloodstock.
Yeah, we said that. They ended up not being there, didn't they?
Yeah, and just listening to some of the stuff, there's some bands that I've started listening to just because I wasn't really aware of them.
Yeah.
And I've kind of already started on, actually, I quite like this band, I like this band.
We've always done that anyway, haven't we? Looked at the other bands. I've not had a lot of time to properly listen to anything new off the list, really. I've checked a few people out. Witch Fever, I'm liking them.
I'm liking Witch Fever, yeah. And I think it's a really good selection of the smaller bands. And again, there's a few curveballs in there, things I weren't expecting.
Yeah, for example, Jasmine Bean, their dad is Ginger Wildheart.
Yeah.
And I did know that because I saw him tweet or share something, but I'd forgotten. And that's a very different sound, not necessarily your traditional Download.
Yeah.
Reminded me a little bit of Scene Queen.
Oh, right.
They've got a song called Hello Kitty, and I was just thinking of Scene Queen with Barbie and Ken.
Ah, right, yeah.
So, not sure if it's necessarily my taste yet, but I'll give it a few more listens. But yeah, they're definitely different in terms of traditional Download stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to kind of open it out and make it accessible, for everybody in a sense. Because there is obviously that mentality of we want Iron Maiden every year and that's all we want.
Yeah. One thing I did notice, because it always comes up about obviously the gender split of headliners, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Someone did say, I've not checked this myself, but I saw a post on the Facebook group. Someone said, I think a third of the acts released so far are either female fronted stroke featuring or gender neutral featuring. So it's more diverse than previous initial lineups, at least.
Probably. Yeah, I remember the days where you wouldn't get any.
No, it'd be very rare to see a female on
stage. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, there was that tweet, wasn't there, about Hailstorm?
I don't know.
Can you remember I can't remember. It was before the Download announcement was made, and someone tweeted Lizzie Hale and said about Download, and she pretty much said, yeah, we're going to be there, but they're not on this initial lineup, so that could be one for the next round.
Yeah, it could be. How many more bands do you think they've got left?
I heard that there's going to be about 200 in total.
What?
Which seems
a
awful lot based on how many you normally have over the 3 days. But I think that might also be based on an assumption that Thursday will be a full day, which nobody is assuming it will.
No. Is the normal one about 100?
Oh, it's over 100, I think. Yeah. I'm guessing as well, in terms of the next announcement, I think it's going to be about end of January.
Yeah, I can't see them doing another one for a while now.
I don't think they'll do one before Christmas. And I'm thinking probably end of January, probably tie in with people getting paid end of January and all that, usually. And maybe an announcement about an announcement end of January and a February launch.
A February launch just after payday?
Yeah. And then maybe a smattering of a few more chucked in March time.
Yeah.
As kind of a final push. I'm expecting things to change as well still. We've seen even like we said about Lamb of God having unforeseen circumstances. Yeah. I think there will be some bands that won't just have to pull out for whatever reason. We're still seeing that happening, aren't we? So
yeah, it's still happening. So I'll feel better when we're in a position where we've got stage splits and
day splits.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Day splits, yeah. So we've got day splits. So and an idea as to kind of where you want to be.
I know. It's like even then, it's always down to the clash finder that you don't really know for definite until about 3 days before, do you?
No.
But you get a rough idea of
where you
need where and who's likely to clash and who you might not be able to see because you want to see someone else.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few bands there that I'm not missing for anything. But, well, I suppose we've only got, 7 months to wait?
Yeah, I think it's about 32 or 33 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, we're almost halfway there.
It is when you think about it. It's actually a long time since last Download in June.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, before you know it, it'll be Christmas, and then once that's out of the way, it's the countdown.
The countdown is on, isn't it? Yeah. Any other bands you want to mention, or are we leaving it there for this one?
I think we'll leave it there for this one, and because I want to keep listening to some bands I'm not really familiar with.
I want to get to know a few more new bands or some older bands that I've not listened to before as well. So yeah.
Right. Now, it's normally the recommendation at this point, but we're going to do something slightly different this week. So instead of giving you a band to listen to, we are giving you 16 bands to listen to.
Yes.
and it's all the previous Ready to Mosh recommendations.
Yeah.
So we've both picked a song each from all of the bands that we've recommended.
Yeah.
They're all together on a playlist on Spotify, and you'll be able to find that in all of the socials.
Yes, we'll share that at some point this week. Yeah, we've recommended 16 bands, so far there's 32 songs on the playlist. Each week going forward, we're going to be adding a song each from our recommendations.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting some new bands to listen to, then go and listen.
And let us know what you think to the songs that we've chosen as well. And if you get into any of the bands.
Yeah. And also, if you've got any bands that you would recommend us to recommend, let us know. We generally go for kind of smaller, they tend to be UK, British-based bands, mostly, I think, that we've done.
They have been mostly, but
we're open to any bands.
Yeah.
But the general criteria is they've got kind of a low amount of monthly listeners on Spotify, would you say?
Yeah.
So
just generally the smaller independent bands.
Yeah, that not everyone knows about, so we can kind of unearth some little gems for you to listen to. So yeah, we'll give that a share soon. And that is the end of episode 30 then. So thank you as always for listening. Please do spread the word about us and recommend us in any place you can recommend us. If you're not already following us on Instagram and Twitter, you can find us on there at Ready to Mosh Cast. And we're also dabbling in the world of YouTube and TikTok, which is just Ready to Mosh to find us on there. And we'll be back with episode 31 next week. Make it stop, move.